Krillin versus Saitama. Over the years, we've seen humans perform some of the most ridiculous strength feats that I've ever seen, breaking their limits day in and day out, going beyond the fabric of human imagination. But now let's put humanity against itself. Two fighters that work so hard that they're bald. So who would win? The strongest human versus the strongest human. Who would win? Krillin versus the One Punch Man. Saitama, a human that made up his mind to be the strongest hero in existence. His wish came true 3 years later, as he can now defeat any opponent in a single punch. With Saitama going through a grueling training regimen, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every single day for 3 years straight. And once you condition the mind and body, you will become strong. After Saitama's training, the limit that was placed on all beings was broken, allowing Saitama's strength to grow without end, with a limiter being a barrier that no being in existence can cross, as it is the literal limit of their strength placed on them by God. However, Saitama, after doing that impossible workout, was able to shatter his limiter, and now Saitama's strength is so high that the sky is the limit. In the world of One Punch Man, monsters are born from the darkness of people's desires. With the more negative emotions and drive you have to reach your goals, the stronger you become. With monsters being categorized into different threat levels based on their power and overall strength: wolf, tiger, demon, dragon, and the last one of them all, God. God-level threats are a threat to all of humanity, but for the One Punch Man, it doesn't matter. Every last one of them will be defeated in a single punch, with Saitama being able to defeat dragon-level threats like the Deep Sea King, who can defeat S-class heroes without breaking a sweat. But once Saitama enters the battlefield, he ends the fight in a single punch, with the punch being so strong that it literally changed the weather. But now Saitama finds himself face to face with the dominator of the universe, Boros. Boros is an alien from space who's looking for a worthy opponent to test his strength, with both opponents becoming bored because they are the strongest. But the question is, will the outcome be the same for Saitama, or has he finally met his match? Saitama punches Boros and Boros is able to survive it, unleashing more and more of his strength, but Saitama doesn't care. As I said before, for Saitama, it doesn't matter. Boros' species is able to regenerate from almost anything, as he can even regenerate from a pool of blood, as Saitama's consecutive normal punches completely obliterate his body. However, he's able to survive and bring himself back together. Boros kicks Saitama to the moon, and Saitama performs the best feat in the series so far, as he's able to jump from the moon to the earth, with Saitama performing this feat in a little under 12 seconds, which would require him to be moving 299,792 kilometers a second, or the speed of light. Boros needs to end this fight immediately and decides to use his full strength, as he charges up his most devastating attack, the collapsing star roaring cannon, with him stating in the manga that this has enough power to obliterate the entirety of the planet's surface in one shot. But that's when Saitama decides to show him a glimpse of his strength, as he balls up his fist and uses a serious move. Serious punch. The shockwave from Saitama's punch intercepts Boros' collapsing star roaring cannon, has enough power to eviscerate it and even split the Earth's atmosphere. Boros, before the fight began, stated that Saitama's strength was immeasurable, and he made him a believer. Saitama walks away from the battle, once again alone in the universe, as the strongest. Saitama faces even more of the Monster Association's strongest monsters and defeats every single monster with one punch. Even the king of the monsters, Orochi, who's gotten even more powerful since his battle with Garo, as he was able to adapt to Garo's martial arts and gets a new form, still all it takes is a single punch. With Garo being a human whose goal is to shift the balance of the world as we know it and become a monster himself, as his determination to reach this goal actually allows him to change his biology, losing himself to the darkness of his desires and becomes Monster Garo. Monster Garo, in his fight with Platinum Sperm, was able to fight so fast that their movements are happening within fractions of a second, with their speed being calced all the way to 200 times faster than light, with possibly the strongest being in the entire One Punch Man universe making an appearance, the One Punch Man God. God has been studied by the #1 hero Blast, and he concludes that God is the creator of everything in existence and everything within it, having control over all of space and time itself, and Blast has even had an encounter with him face to face. Garo himself is able to arrive in the presence of God, with God offering Garo some of his power, and all Garo has to do is take his hand. Garo refuses and slaps his hand out of the way, but even that slight touch between God and Monster, the result is terrifying. When Garo lands on Earth, a new power flows through his body, the power of divinity, the power of God. Cosmic Garo is the most powerful character we've seen excluding God himself, and now has knowledge of all the energy in the universe, and now has new abilities that are out of this world. As a human, Garo was able to copy people's techniques, but now he can just copy everything about his opponents. He shows us firsthand as he's able to copy Blast's space manipulation abilities and can now use Nuclear Fist and even create his own subspace gates, and is adapting to every technique he sees. Garo destroys all of the heroes with his passive cosmic radiation, and Saitama arrives on the battlefield and watches as Garo punches a hole through Genesis' core. And now we finally get to see what he can really do. As Saitama holds his friend's core in his hand, he can only think about one thing: serious series, serious punch. Saitama attacks Garo with his most powerful punch, and if it lands, this new god will be erased just like all the rest. But Garo's not done yet, as he figures out a way to survive. The only way to match Saitama's strength is to match Saitama's strength. Garo copies every last drop of Saitama's strength and calls this new power Saitama mode, and winds up his own serious punch. Blast can sense the energy that they're about to release and states that if their punch lands, the entire Earth will be destroyed. He uses his subspace gates to contain their clash in space, and even needs help from others to redirect their attack. Their punch collides and their energy is released, sending Garo and Saitama to the other end of the solar system, landing them on one of the surface of Jupiter's moons. But when we look back at Earth's sky, space is left empty. This punch was labeled Serious Punch Squared, and using inverse square law, we can see that this punch generated multi-solar system to galaxy levels of power. Saitama tells Garo that he's glad he can finally use his full power against someone who can actually stand up, but when he looks down at his hand, he realizes that he's not excited. Garo tries to use his abilities, but none of them are working. He uses his subspace gates to send Saitama somewhere else, but Saitama just kicks it away. Saitama even tears off the surface of the moon using serious table flip. Garo states that Saitama's strength is limitless, so he'll just have to copy him limitlessly until he falls. However, like I said before, it's not working. The manga actually shows us on a graph how Saitama's strength actually works, as there are points on a graph that Saitama hits a ceiling and then breaks through it. Sounds like somebody else I know, with it actually being described as exponential growth rather than just infinite mass punches. Saitama becomes bored once again and catches one of Garo's punches. And what happens next? Well, Saitama sneezes, and the force of his sneeze is so powerful that when it impacts the entire planet of Jupiter, it gets destroyed, meaning he can literally sneeze away the entire Earth 1,000 times over. That's when Garo's hopes for winning this battle get destroyed like the planet behind him. Garo punches Saitama to the sun and uses his subspace gates to get back to Earth, but Saitama uses a serious fart and is able to move massively faster than light and catches up to Garo, punching him back down to the planet. But that's when Garo sees the kid that he had a friendship with died. He decided that he's done. He teaches Saitama a technique that allows him to go backwards in time, and once Saitama sees Garo in the past, he balls up his fist and punches, with his punch being the reversal of causality, as he lands a punch before the fight even began, ending the fight in 0 punches. In the end, Saitama would scale from multi-solar system to multi-galaxy with massively faster than light speeds. After this, the question is, who can stand up to the One Punch Man? I mean, really, you'd have to be stronger than gods. Well,
Krillin, Goku's old rival and his best friend whose strength is underrated, but when you're standing next to angels, even demons look weak. Even as early as Dragon Ball Z, Krillin's strength was absolutely ridiculous as he's able to defeat 5 Cybermen in one shot, with each of these Cybermen being stated to be as strong as Goku's brother Raditz, with Raditz being able to take apart the duo of Goku and Piccolo, with Piccolo being able to casually destroy the entire moon, with the shockwaves being felt from Earth, with the energy required to do this possibly being small planetary levels of power, with Krillin one-shotting beings who completely destroy the same Piccolo, with Krillin arriving on Namek to resurrect his friends that were killed by the Saiyans, but this trip turns dark, as the literal strongest in the universe have arrived to grant their own wishes, as he arrived to give life, but stares death in the eyes. With Krillin needing a huge jump in strength to keep up with the universe's strongest, he goes to the father of the Namekians to get his potential unleashed. Awakening to a power level of 13,000, with this he surpasses the king of the Saiyans, King Vegeta, who with a battle power of 10,000 was able to eviscerate 3 planets just by lifting his hand. With Krillin later even fighting against Frieza's strongest forces in the Ginyu Force, with the Ginyu Force having fighters that can literally stop time just by holding their breath. However, Krillin's strength is growing progressively when he stares death into the eyes at a power level of 75,000. Death stares back with a power level of 530,000. With Frieza in his first form being able to destroy planet Vegeta, which is a planet with gravity 10 times greater than that of Earth, with just a single finger, with this feat being capped all the way to dwarf star level, as Frieza releases even more of his monstrous power as he awakens to a battle power over 1 million, with second form Frieza being stated that he can destroy the entire universe. However, Krillin has a way to survive as he fires a Destructo Disc at second form Frieza as he's able to cut his tail off, with the Destructo Disc being an attack with a form of durability negation as he's able to overcome almost anything, even opponents 13 times stronger than him, with this ability being super consistent as when Frieza was low on energy and couldn't keep up with Super Saiyan Goku, he decided to steal Krillin's attack using his own Destructo Disc to try and end this battle in one shot, with Krillin in the Cell Saga being able to fend off Imperfect Cell and even arrives at the Cell games where only Super Saiyans were allowed to show up. However, entering into the events of the Buu Saga is where it really gets crazy for Krillin, as Krillin is able to be stronger than Yamcha, who was able to fight against the most powerful warriors in the afterlife, with Yamcha being able to take on fighters like Olibu in a 2v1, with Olibu being able to fight relative to Pikkon, as Pikkon is an otherworldly fighter that can fight against Son Goku in the final round for the strongest in the afterlife, with Pikkon going down to hell to one-shot King Cold and Frieza, and even Super Perfect Cell, with Cell when he was alive being stated to give way to an infinite and bottomless power, with it actually being referenced to his battle power rather than his infinite android stamina, as there's even statements like Frieza of him being able to destroy the entire universe, with Pikkon being able to defeat Cell in one shot, with the same Pikkon having a good fight with Olibu, who gets defeated in a 2v1 against Yamcha, who's weaker than Krillin. Pretty crazy, right? With the other Saiyan strength growing beyond comprehension and Goku diving into divinity, Krillin needs to find a way to keep up as he's informed that the Omni Kings of the entire Dragon Ball multiverse want to hold a fighting tournament where 10 fighters across the multiverse battle to defend their universe from getting erased. As he trains like never before to protect his family, with Krillin being put to the test to make sure that he's ready to defend their universe, he takes on Son Goku face to face. In this battle, Krillin is actually able to catch Goku off guard, which is an absolutely ridiculous feat, as Goku has one of the highest battle IQs in the multiverse, as when he fights against the Universe 6 assassin Hit, who has an ability to literally jump 0.2 of a second into the future, basically arriving before he left, and he still gets read like a book by Goku, with the same Goku being able to get years worth of experience within a couple of minutes, and somehow Krillin is able to catch him off guard. Krillin even manages to land a hit on Goku, forcing him to use Super Saiyan to save himself from being knocked out of the ring. With the same Goku in the beginning of Dragon Ball Super clashing fists with the God of Destruction Beerus and threatened to destroy the entire Universe 7 macrocosm, which houses multiple infinitely sized universes, and even the afterlife that is transcendental to the dimensionality of the mortal universe, where the concepts of space and time do not exist, with their battle even being stated to be super dimensional, as Goku is able to retain this universe-crushing power to his base form, getting hundreds of times stronger leading up to the events of the Tournament of Power. Krillin being able to push back Goku is an absolutely ridiculous feat. Even if Goku is holding back, the fact still remains that Krillin made Goku take this fight more seriously, forcing him to amplify his strength greater than the power to destroy the entire universe. To make the argument that Krillin is not at least in these Battle of God universal ranges would be arguing that Goku used Super Saiyan just to suppress it by billions, with it being even more consistent that Goku does not use Super Saiyan to gauge people's strength. He only uses it when he's getting pressed. In contrast to Super Saiyan Blue, where he does suppress himself to get a gauge. And just to be clear, we're not arguing that Krillin is on the level of Super Saiyan Goku, we're only saying that he reaches these universal tiers. But let's make this even more consistent, as Krillin is able to battle against base Gohan and uses a solar flare times 100, which is actually able to blind his opponents and erases energy from conventional forms of detection. With this being crazy, as Gohan is actually able to fight while blinded. In the Zeno exhibition match, Gohan is able to take on Lavender while blinded, and is even able to perfectly counter all of his attacks as soon as he feels contact, with Lavender being relative to his brothers, with one of the dogs being able to take on Majin Buu. And Krillin is able to defeat Gohan before he even knew what happened, stacking on even more consistency as we get into the Tournament of Power itself, and tag teams with Android 18 is actually able to fight against Shosha, with Shosha being able to knock out Android 18 in a single hit, with Krillin stepping in to fight him himself, with him being able to perform better than 18 ever did, and later links up with Android 18 again to power up an energy ball to defeat him, with Krillin being relative enough to Android 18 to actually benefit her in battles, and is even able to perform better against her opponents who can literally one-shot her, with 18 going on to defeat Ribrianne, who can take on Super Saiyan Vegeta, with the same Vegeta having Super Saiyan God strength within his base form and has gotten hundreds to thousands of times stronger since Battle of Gods. Fast forward to the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie, a new android has been released that sends shivers down everyone's spine, as Cell has been remade once again. Cell Max, with Cell Max being able to dismantle all of the Z fighters and even the android Gammas 1 and 2, who were stated to be just as strong as current Goku and Vegeta. With these events taking place after the Granola arc in the manga, with most arguments against this being that Piccolo has only last seen Goku and Vegeta in the Mora arc, and the androids only have data from the last time they were on planet Earth. However, these androids being stronger is exactly what we would expect, as in Dragon Ball Z, androids like 17 and 18 were ridiculously strong even with their outdated data, as Dr. Gero only had data from the events of the Saiyan saga and had no idea about the leaps in strength made in space, coming back with legendary power, and yet they were still able to produce androids that can defeat Super Saiyans with 3 years of preparation to defeat them, so it's completely consistent that androids even with outdated data can be much stronger than predicted, with even guidebooks backing up the fact that 1 and 2 are just this strong, with Krillin joining in the battle and eventually being able to annoy Cell Max using a Destructo Disc and solar flares, and is even able to help Orange Piccolo catch Cell Max's foot, which is just icing on the cake at this point.
So in the end, with everything laid out on the table, we finally have an answer to who would win between the strongest humans. The winner is Krillin. The reason Krillin wins is because he completely outscales his opponent in every sense of the word. Even arguments for Saitama having infinite strength fall flat, because if we're going to take statements at face value, Saitama would stop at Cell, and regardless it would get contradicted by the manga, as the manga itself states that Saitama's strength is exponential, and we even see points on a graph where Saitama peaks and then breaks through it, which is exactly what we'd expect from an exponential increase. Even arguments of Saitama being able to travel backwards in time and defeat Krillin before he he even realized wouldn't work either, as literally the next page after his time travel punch, he completely forgets how to do it. With Krillin having multiple feats of being stronger than Super Perfect Cell and even stronger than Super Saiyan God Goku at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, the fight isn't even close. As a human who trains with literal angels, the winner should be clear, because when we put both of these fighters in a ring, only the true One Punch Man will walk out. What's up guys, it's Divine. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And make sure you guys go follow the TikTok and join the Discord server. All the links for those will be in the description. And of course, shout out to Kazi for hopping on this one. He just uploaded a video on the truth of who would win between Goku and Vegeta. So make sure you guys go watch that. His video and channel link will be in the description as well. Anyway, let me know down in the comments if you agree with the verdict. Who do you think would win between Krillin and the One Punch Man?